What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another reactions video. This time today is going to be the reaction of the reaction, because we did a reacting to comments video yesterday and all you lovely people have been interacting with that one. So big up to all of you for putting in your very lovely messages, I would say.
We're both still here, so put it that way. We convinced us to come back.
What are you doing here, Sim?
Well, my new channel didn't get the views, so I'm back here again.
None of you interacted with this new channel?
What's going on? We are Level-Headed TV.
We are Ange in TV.
None wanted you to peace, so I'm back on where I'm at home.
You should have just called it Mate.
Should have called it Mate TV. Well, I'm back, and back with a bang, so let's go.
Go on then.
All right, first up, we've got someone who said he wasn't going to come back if Ben stayed on the channel, Danny Foster, but he came back. He had to watch the video, didn't he? Couldn't stay away. He said, "Thanks for featuring my comment and well done for handling it with such good humour. Of course I'll stay and watch, boys. Might have overreacted slightly." So he's back. He's back.
Look who comes crawling back, Mr. Danny Foster. I knew you'd be back. I knew you couldn't stay away. Always come crawling. They always come crawling back.
All right, so that's the end of throw the toys out the pram TV.
Yeah, sorry, Brian. Sorry, Brian. It is what it is.
He just went through lengths to set up the channel. He was going through, jumping through hoops, talking with YouTube on the hours.
He was so excited. He was so excited.
And all of a sudden, Danny's back. It was all to keep Danny. This whole thing was to keep Danny. Shame.
Danny's proper thrown Brian under the bus here. Proper.
No more overreactions from you, Danny. All right? You can't complain about Ben overreacting to losses when you overreact like that, okay? Neil Turner says, Sim, the comment tail and camping, as you put it, was Thailand camping. You know that country in Southeast Asia. That was there was a name which I read out as tail and camping, but it's Thailand and camping. I didn't quite read the name out right.
I see. I see.
So that's a lesson for me to read names correctly. I read it as tail and camping.
Maybe we're just going to rename Thailand Tail End.
Tail and camping. I like that. Maybe it was. Maybe you don't know the place Tail. You just know Tail.
Exactly.
Tail in Thailand.
It's not like
sorry to everyone from
the most famous countries in the world in Thailand. No.
Apologies to all our Thai viewers. I got that one completely wrong. I own up to it. See, I can't admit mistakes. Just not for Ange. Uber Banana says, it's just human psychology. When we lose, fans are upset and it's cathartic to blame someone. It allows you to direct your negative emotions towards someone or something, regardless of whether it's justified or not. When Sim defends the person the people want to blame, the anger becomes directed at him instead. It's just human psychology.
Do you feel that's the case, that people's anger have been directed at you?
I feel targeted.
Do you feel targeted?
I feel like people want to blame someone, and when I defend the people on the blame, they say, "Oh, you're the problem. It's you. You're defending this nonsense. You're defending." The problem. I am the problem.
You are the problem.
It's human psychology, Ben. It's all part of the human nature. It needs to be studied. I think our comment section should be studied. I think that's the.
Maybe we'll send it to Harvard or something.
Yeah,
do a nice study on it.
We'll bring. I think it needs a psychological take. Any psychologists want to do a video on our comments? I think it's welcome to it. But I agree with Uber Banana. I think it's all human psychology.
They're going to be doing talks on our comment section in Cambridge in years to come. All of you are going to be used.
100%. Daniel SZ3GM says Solo Sim should be simply Tottenham. I like that. I like that. That's a good name. I'm going to use that.
He should have put the P at the end of Sim though.
Simp.
It should be Simp Tottenham.
Simply Tottenham.
Simp Tottenham.
Simply. I like that name. I think we'll come up with a new kind of video range.
Maybe it should just be called Simp.
I think we should get T-shirts. Simply Tottenham. I like that. Dudley B8774 says it's difficult for people to separate Postecoglou's personality from their views on him. When someone is new to a job, all his remarks and mannerisms are new and refreshing. A year and a half in, everyone's heard his message so often it can cause a kind of fatigue, especially when the team isn't winning. The real questions are simpler. Will the system work in the Premier League? Can he adjust when it isn't working, or to prepare for whatever team Spurs face this week? Does the system and training training methods contribute to an injury problem? Set aside if you like his bluntness, ignore what you might find irritating, just answer the football questions and don't get too invested in whether Spurs won or lost the most recent match.
I think it's true maybe about his mannerisms and stuff. Maybe not totally that why people are backing him, but I find myself all too often just watching his press conferences after games, before games, after losses the week before, and being like, you know what, this guy is all right. And I think he's a really good salesman, and Postecoglou, he's really good with his words.
Well, all great managers are.
True.
So you have to be
Some
sell
bad
yourself.
managers are too.
Huh?
Some bad managers are too.
Which bad managers are good salesmen?
That's a good question. Off the top of my head, I think all of them have to be to a certain extent. But I mean, you've heard managers that are good with the press that maybe aren't good. I can't think of a name off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are many.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but he says answer the football questions and it becomes a simpler task. Will his system work in the Premier League? I think it can work in the Premier League. I think we've seen it work. I don't think his system is inherently can't work in this league. I don't believe that, but I just think there's reasons why the system is dysfunctional at this current moment, and has been for a few games. But I think we have seen it work. I don't think the system is doomed to fail, in my opinion. Anyway, I don't know.
I think it's just about the system. It's about who we have, deploying the system. Do we have the good enough players to, make the system work over a long stretch of time? Does the system and the methods of what he uses bring on too many injuries and stuff like that? I mean, there are many questions there.
I'm just saying that the way we play in terms of inverted fullbacks, the way we keep the players wide, the high pressing, can it work in the Premier League? I think we've seen it can work in certain aspects, and then I think majority of the time when it has failed, it's been more due to. Look, there's been obviously it's failed sometimes, like back in the last season when we were just terrible and we were getting beaten by better teams, and maybe that was more evidence that it can't work. I think the recent
We
run,
weren't just getting beaten by better teams though, were we? Like we got battered by Fulham 3-0. We also drew a game just after that. I can't remember who it was against. That weren't as good as us. So it wasn't just against better teams, but in terms of the system on a consistent basis, it's never been able to yield those kind of consistent results for us.
no, I think definitely over the last since the back end of last season for sure up until now. But I look at the way we play, and I definitely look at some of the underlying numbers when things are going well, and I do think there's a reason to think it can. The way we play can definitely work, and we have seen it work with certain wins as well. Where we got big wins against some good teams as well. So I think we have seen it work, and I think the reason it's really been dysfunctional over the last couple months is not necessarily inherent in the system. It's more that the system has flaws, no doubt about it, like all systems do. And I think the flaws have been exposed and exacerbated to a greater extent in the last 2 months than they would have been in under a different circumstance.
Maybe it's not the question of will the system work in certain games. Of course it will, but is the system ever gonna provide for us, or like how we want it to, and being up there with the best, with the players that we've got?
I think with the right players it can.
With the right players. And will we ever get the right players, though?
That's a different question. Can he adjust when it isn't working, or to prepare for whatever team Spurs face this week? That's obviously a fair question. I think there are certain games he has adjusted, but I think obviously in the last 2 months, and also there have been other games as well where the in-game changes haven't worked and he hasn't been able to find a way to recapture control of certain games. So I do think that's a fair question, and I think the jury's definitely out on that. I don't think I've decided one way or another if he definitely can't adjust at all, and he has no in-game management. I think that's unfair, but I think there are definitely big question marks about that, because there's been a lot of occasions where he could have done certain things and we've ended up losing games where we had control and we lost it.
I feel like his in-game management is very hit and miss, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and I think it's literally probably split down. I haven't analysed the data or how many times it hasn't worked, but I feel like it probably is split down the middle somewhere.
And the last one, does the system and training methods contribute to an injury problem? Yeah, again, I think it probably does. I think it contributes to it. That's fair.
I think he's even admitted that.
Yeah, but I think when you play a high intensity system, I think I don't think every manager who plays that kind of way would probably admit that there's a higher risk of injuries. I don't think it's just Ange's specific one is like more or is like his system can cause injuries and no other system can, essentially is what I'm trying to say. But for sure, the way we play is going to be a higher likelihood for injuries. But there's other injuries that we've had which have been maybe noiseful, like freak incidents like the Vicario one. Also, there are just natural injuries you do pick up over a season, which every team gets. And so there's a lot of things. The fact of the matter is we've got 12 injuries at the moment.
Not anymore.
Well, not at the moment, but we have during the last 2 months we had about 12 injuries. Are they all? Can we say we have that amount due to Ange's methods and training? I mean, it's impossible. It's not. I mean, it's hard to say there's not a correlation, but it's also harsh to say we have 12 injuries because of Ange's methods. I think that's also. I think that doesn't really give a fair analysis as well. So it's hard to say exactly whether we're just doomed to have this amount of injuries with Ange in charge, or with a bit of luck, maybe it will be a better situation next season if we keep him.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to say. I don't think this many injuries are all on Ange. I don't believe that. But I feel like when you've got Ange and when you've got this medical team all put together in a melting pot, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and I think definitely the medical team, we know there's problems there, so that needs to be sorted for sure. Sydney 68 says both Sim and Ben are passionate Spurs, as we all are. It's human nature to have differences, and I do think some fans are toxic. I don't think Ange is the right manager to take us forward, but it only makes sense to sack him once the season's ended, unless we have a replacement lined up. If we win Europa League, how many fans would want him to stay?
Yeah, I think we're at this moment in time, we're both saying the same thing in terms of he stays at the end till the end of the season, and then we assess it from there. I don't think we have an option on that anyway. I think that's what will be the case, regardless of anything that happens from now to the end of the season, unless we lose every game and relegation looks a possibility. I think barring that eventuality, I don't think anything else will get Ange's sack. So I do think he will be here from now to the end of the season. But what was that last bit?
If we win Europa League, how many fans would want him to stay?
Yeah, I think if we win Europa League, I think a lot of fans will afford him another crack at the whip. But I think if it goes wrong early on next season, I think a lot of fans will be vying for his blood.
I think that's also probably true. Errol Francis 4708 says, great show, guys. As much as I don't usually agree with Sim, at least he sticks to his rather defective guns. It's great that both of you stand up and be counted by addressing the comment section. With all seriousness aside, I think it's all good fun. We all want great things for the club, team, squad, so it's great. Keep up the work and don't break up the partnership. The chemistry is what makes us all come back for more. What's so defective with my guns? I got plenty of bullets, and they always hit the target. I don't know what he's chatting about.
Always.
No, they always. No, not defective. Not defective at all.
Always hit the target, do they?
100%. Maybe apart from the Tangy one. Forget that gun.
What about the Winks one?
Winks a good player. He would cook under Ange. Like Harry Winksy. What's wrong with Winksy? Playing very well for Leicester. Not see his passing. It was good for Torino. Was it Torino he was at? It was good for Torino. You not see him get man of the match on his England debut.
I'm just going to let you just keep digging yourself.
What's wrong with Winksy?
Nothing's wrong with Winksy, but he's not at our level. He's at Leicester's level.
Yeah, at the moment he is. But when he was at our level, he was good. He could be a good player. I like Winksy. Wouldn't take him back though. All right, Peter Haggis. I probably butchered that. He says, Ben, unlike Sim, you can't say that changing managers every 18 months doesn't bring success. Give Ange the time to implement.
Ben, unlike Sim, can't see that changing every other... Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see that.
You can't see, you're blind.
I mean, I literally can, because that's what I said coming into this season. And when we hired Ange, we need to stick with it, and we can't be changing managers every 18 months. But what if you have brought in a manager and he's not the guy? And that's what I think of Ange. And I think come the end of the season, we'll all know if that's the case or not.
That's true. But is there a case to say that every 18 months we continue to always believe that the guy's not the guy after 18 months?
I don't think so. I think after Nuno, we decided that after 10 games. Or if not, was it less than 10 games even? Was it 10 games?
10 games in the league, yeah.
I think it's more the hierarchy, first of all. I think Jose Mourinho, I think we all would have given him at least to the cup final anyway. And if he would have won that cup final, fans probably would have wanted him to stay on. And with Antonio Conte, I don't think many fans said he's not good enough. I think he got sacked when he was in 4th spot. I think both of us were pretty much Conte in until the very end. I
felt like we were battling against the tide, though. I felt like most wanted him out at that point.
Maybe, but I still feel that Conte, these managers are still very good managers. Maybe Nuno aside, I think we were probably fighting till the end on most of these managers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe not Mourinho. I think we turned on Mourinho by the time the end came, but we all wanted him to stay in for that cup final.
Definitely for the cup final. I remember I was done with him after that Zagreb game. I was like, I think this guy's not going to work. All right.
But in terms of like managers 18 months, I don't think we've ever wanted just to sack managers after 18 months. It's just circumstances.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's hard to say in terms. I think us specifically, probably not. But I think in terms of the groundswell of negativity and a lot of people calling for it, I think a large part of our fan base has wanted a lot of these managers gone after 18 months.
But I don't think that's just our fan base. I just think that's the nature of football fans now.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Anthony Bunberry 6879 says Ben's analysis of the fall and rise of Jed Spence is 100% correct. Now we can bask in Jed's improving performance.
Funny story, actually. I was had a friend / workman come round to the house this morning, and Tottenham fan, and he goes to me, "I was watching your video last night." He goes, "I was watching your video last night about the comments, and I tell you, what you said about Jed Spence is 100% spot on. It has nothing to do with Ange, why he's currently in the team and currently flourishing." So he agrees with you as well, mate.
Well, he's wrong. And BR Brazil 1718 says Spence was criticised by managers at his loan clubs because of his attitude. To give credit, Ange decided to take a look at him, like what he saw, and decided to give him a probation period. Thank goodness that he grabbed the opportunity and proved his worth. Ben is wrong to criticise a situation he doesn't know the details of.
But you're right to not criticise it because you don't know the full details either. Like,
well, we're giving him credit because what we're seeing now, Jed in full flight playing very well, and we're giving Ange the credit for keeping him around, keeping with him, and giving him an opportunity.
What other option did he have?
Get rid of him.
How could he get rid of him when no one would pay for him?
Or not put him in, or not give him opportunities.
Not put him in the Europa League
not play him in.
Well, no, he didn't do that.
Not play him in pre-season. Didn't have to.
Not play him. Oh, he kind of did with the injuries that we had.
No, but did he play Reguilon in pre-season?
Did Reguilon even go?
I don't know. Exactly. That's my point.
I don't know if Reguilon was even there. Maybe
he gave him an opportunity. He said, "I want to have a look at him. I want to keep him around."
Yeah, and he flourished in pre-season, and we saw him in a bit part role up until now, and he's only been playing because of injuries.
He got a few opportunities early on.
Hardly.
He's played 4 of our first 7 games in parts of it.
He played a couple of minutes at the end of each game.
Yeah, but he was getting a few minutes. I'm saying he was getting reintegrated into the squad. You got to remember he's been out of the squad. He hasn't actually played a Premier League game for Tottenham from the start before Ange actually.
I know.
So he's been out the team. So he has to be reintegrated to the squad, and he has to as well
his worth
prove
a lot. He showed his worth throughout the first half of the campaign. Anytime he was called upon. For him not to be in the look, we've been through this a million times. So I mean, for him not to be in the European squad, for us to not rotate the fullbacks pretty much at all throughout the first half of the season.
He did. Gray was playing regularly fullback. Played in the City in the cup game as well. That fullback. So he was playing regularly.
You're talking about one player being rotated. You need to rotate 2 players. One position was being like Gray was either playing right back or left back. Like, where was Jed Spence?
Yeah, I mean, because he was in the Europa League squad, he can play in the Europa League.
Yeah, but why? because he went for Fraser Forster instead, which is obviously a horrible decision.
Yeah, it wasn't a good decision. I agree with that. But I'm just saying, well, the way Jed Spence is now, I just don't understand why we're looking at that and saying it's a critical thing of Ange, when I think Ange should be getting credit for reintegrating Jed effectively into the squad, and now he's a big part of the team. And I think sometimes these things happen as well. Like, you remember when Bale under Redknapp wasn't getting a look in, he had to wait till Suakoto got injured to get a look in, and all of a sudden he went flying. Like, sometimes that's how it happens in football. Like, it's not always sort of black and white.
Yeah, but I think when you have such limited options, it is a bit black and white, because we had no options. We had no other left back in the squad. We had to play a central midfielder at right back, at left back, at centre back, which is not the point. But when you had literally a full back there that can play both positions, and he does it to a high level.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm just saying, the fact that he is here part of the squad now and he's playing really well.
He was always part of the squad.
Not always. Not before Ange, he wasn't.
Okay, I'm talking about this season.
Yeah, but my point is, Ange deserves credit for where Jed is now. That's my only point. Forget of whether you should use him early or whatever. My point is, this guy was out in the cold. This guy was cast aside. Everyone was happy for him to leave, and now he's a really good player, and he's part of the squad now and fully reintegrated and has his head screwed on. I think Ange deserves some credit for that.
So you don't think there's any element of luck in it whatsoever?
There might be some element of luck, but that's by the by. That you like, it is by the by. Because,
why is it by the by?
Because if you look at the overall picture, that's the most important thing. Yes, these in the grand scheme of things, Jed's first 6 months where he wasn't getting enough of a look in is not going to mean anything if we've got a real player who's going to be here for years and actually going to be a real big part of the team. The way it's come about, Ange deserves credit, because now this guy is really integrated. Now, actually, we've got a very useful fullback here who's willing, who's a big part of the squad and is playing really well, right? And before that incident, everyone was happy for him to leave. So the fact that, you know, we've got him now, and the fact that he's a big part of the team would if a different manager came in, maybe they would have cast him aside like other managers did. And so,
or maybe another manager would have given him a chance right from the very start of the season.
But I'm saying the long-term view, the bigger picture, the fact we
proved his chance in pre-season.
Yeah, but the fact we got a really good fullback now, I think Ange deserves credit for reintegrating him in the overall, in my opinion, rather than just saying it's just down to luck and you know, Ange doesn't deserve any credit for it, because he's still here and he's relied upon, and I think Ange deserves credit for that.
Yeah, but he should have used him a lot more. It's just the reality. Like, maybe Udogie wouldn't have got injured. Maybe Porro wouldn't have played as many minutes as he has now and been out on his feet for the last couple of months, you know.
But that's not. I'm just talking about Jed. I'm just talking about Jed himself.
Yeah, but it's a whole bigger. It's the whole. Everything comes into it. It's not just about Jed. It's about the overload and the overworked fullbacks that we've had all season because of the situation that Ange has created.
That's a different question, though. We're
It's
talking
not a
about
different question.
It is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is, because I'm talking about just Jed. I'm not talking about the management of the squad. I'm talking about, does he deserve credit for the emergence of Jed? And I think he does.
But it's all part of it.
Okay, I'm just saying, in 3 years' time, when if Jed's still here and balling out, and he's like one of the best fullbacks in the league and he's playing really well, right? We're not going to say, well, 6 months in, he didn't get a look in, and you know, we're going to say, look how good he is.
Yeah, but
that's irrelevant. My point. That's the relevant part.
It's not relevant, because in 3 years' time we can talk about that. But right now, here and now, when our fullbacks have been overplayed and overworked, and you've got a player that has come in that has been completely out in the cold, not even been part of the Europa League squad. Like, where has he been the first half of the season? Where was he when Udogie had to keep coming on because we got injuries? Like, he had to come on so early in some of these Europa League games where he wasn't in the plan to play. Pedro Porro played the most amount of minutes out of anyone in Europe's top 6 leagues or something stupid like that. Like, where was Jed to give a rotation option for him when he should have been that option? If he's in the squad, he should be the option.
Okay, all right. Where are we? Nate Baker, I think. Yeah. Sim is the only one level-headed person on this show. Get rid of him and everything becomes reactionary based on the current form of the squad, not the bigger picture overall. That's exactly what I was just saying. Look at the bigger picture. Any comments on that?
So basically, he likes having the wool glossed over his eyes. That's what he's saying. He likes hearing just nice things.
No, he just looks at the
only nice
picture.
things he likes. He likes living in a world full of sunshine and roses.
Don't we all?
Yeah. If only life was that simple.
Correct. And, you know, but not everything has to be reactionary. Not everything is based on... You can't base everything just off the result, as much as that's what we react to.
As much as we're in a results-driven business, we can't just focus on the results.
Exactly. That's true. I think that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Coach Nicholas says, Sim has a good analytical brain. He provides thoughtful and intelligent comments, not as emotional as his dear brother.
Yeah, you know what? That one I'd agree with. I think Sim does have a very good analytical brain. Definitely a much more analytical brain than what I've got. And yeah, I've been known to be a bit over emotional with Spurs from time to time. So I think that one's pretty true.
Howard Bunsis 4790 says, Sim, I've been impressed from you from the start. You're measured and nuanced in your analysis, and we are lucky to have you on the channel. Ben, no comment.
Cheers, mate.
No comment.
Cheers, mate.
No, you don't want to leave a comment?
No comment to him either.
No comment. Jeez, cold shoulder for Howard. Cold shoulder. Thank you, Howard. Very nice comment. But come on, give some nice props to my brother.
Barry said that you've been paying people to put these comments in. Was that one of them?
I'm paying no one. All right, it's just taking hours of new accounts.
Oh,
That's
I
all
see.
it's taking. Doesn't take any money. I don't have the money to pay these people. I've got the time though. The perfect match, Jimbo. Big up to Jimbo. Come on. We Are Tottenham TV is Sim and Ben. Without you two wonderful gentlemen, the channel would be nothing. Keep up the great work, both of you. It's a fantastic channel, and I'm proud of you. Super proud. Myself and Kate are lucky enough to be a part of it, and we're proud of you and Kate to be a part of it too. Go check out the pump ups. They are a regular fixture on there now, and the pump ups, everyone's been loving them since Kate and Jimbo have been on. Everyone's loving those two, so big up to those two.
Yeah, big up to Kate and Jimbo. Love you guys, and love you being part of our world and our channel, and long may it continue.
Kate, we're going to get you back on the Ange train, don't you worry. Sooner rather than later, Kate. I see you. Follow Jimbo. Jimbo's a bit more positive on Ange than Kate. JMP016 says, I'm actually glad that Sim and Ben disagree on certain things. It's good to get different perspectives, a glass half full and a glass half empty situation. Think it's fair to say you're always glass half empty?
I think my glass is probably nearly empty. No, but I think just Spurs have just sucked it all out of me, because I think if you watch from when we first started the channel, we were all full of optimism. We're the best team in the land.
Glass was full to the brim.
Exactly, and I think Spurs have just been emptying the glass little by little throughout the 7-8 years that we've been doing this show. So it is what it is. You just got to react to what's in front of you, and we've been getting worse and worse and worse for 7 years.
It's fair as well. And, you know, just because I want to see the positive doesn't mean when things are getting worse, you shouldn't call it out. And that's fair enough as well. That's absolutely true. So, all right, that's it. That's all the comments.
All right, big up to you guys. Thank you once again for interacting with the channel. The We Are Tottenham TV army is definitely unrivaled and unmatched. So big love to you all. We'll see you all again tomorrow for preview day. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,